I'm going to do a brief overview of Space Forces, independent Space Forces, and then get into just the United States. But here's a list of Space Forces units and formations worldwide. Whether this is an independent Space Force, multinational command, joint command, or part of another military service. So looks like China has a few departments. The US has the largest. The U.S. consists of the U.S. Space Force, Air Force Space Command, Strategic Air Command, Aerospace Defense Command, 14th Aerospace Force Defense Command, 9th Aerospace Defense Division, Air Defense Command, Air Force Security Service, Space and Missile Systems Center, Material Command, Space Systems Division, Air Force Systems Command, Space Division, Space and Missile Systems Organization, Space Systems Division, Air Force Ballistic Missile Organization, Air Research and Development Command and Missile Strike, Western Development Division, Research and Development Command, Air Material Command, and Army Air Forces. Other countries that are involved in their own space forces are Colombia, France, which has 2, Iran. Russia has Russian Aerospace Forces, Space Command, Aerospace Defense Forces, Russian Space Forces, Strategic Rocket Forces, and Military Space Forces. They have rocket and space defense troops, anti-ballistic missile and anti-space defense forces, Chief Directorate of Space Assets, Soviet Ministry of Defense, Main Directorate of Space Assets, Soviet Armed Forces General Staffs, Main Directorate of Space Assets, Central Directorate of Space Assets, Strategic Rocket Forces, 3rd Department of Main Missile Directorate of the Ministry of Defense, Artillery of the Supreme High Command Reserve, and we have Spain in 2022, Spanish Air and Space Force. Joint and multinational commands would be Australia, Canada, North American Air Defense Command, and Aerospace Defense Command. India, Defense Space Agency, Italy, Space Operations Command, Mexico, Mexican Secretariat of National Defense. NATO has Allied Air Command, and NATO has a NATO Space Center, and it's called AirComm. It's the prime air and space advisor to the alliance, directed by the Supreme Allied Commander Europe, SACEUR, SACEUR. Now what this does, it provides the core of the headquarters responsible for the conduct of air operations. It's based at the Ramstein Air Base in Germany. So that's interesting that NATO has a supreme command. Peru has a National Commission for Aerospace Research and Development, Peruvian Ministry of Defense. South Korea has Agency for Defense Development, Republic of Korea Ministry of National Defense. Spain has the Institut National de Técnica Aerospatiale. UK has UK Space Command, Royal Air Force, Strategic Command, and Joint Forces. The U.S. Space Command also is with the U.K. Joint Force Space Command or Component Command, Joint Functional Component Command for Space, Joint Space Operations, and the U.S. with the U.K. has the U.S. Strategic Command, Space, Defense, Air, and Research Projects Agency. Service Space Units and Formations in Australia would be the Remote Sensor Unit, R.A.F, Royal Australian Air Force. Brazil has Aerospace Operations Command. Canada, 3 Canadian Space Divisions, Royal Canadian Air Force, RCAF. Bundeswehr Space Command in Germany. Air and Space Operations Center, Space Situational Awareness Center. And then Iran has the Islamic Republic of Iran Air Force. Israel has a space branch, the Israeli Air Force. Japan has Space Operations Group, Japan Air Self-Defense Forces. Luxembourg has a Luxembourg Army. Netherlands has a Royal Netherlands Air Force. New Zealand, Royal New Zealand Air Force. North Korea, Korean People's Army Air Force. Pakistan, Pakistan Air Force. South Korea, Republic of Korea Air Force. Thailand, Royal Thai Air Force. Turkey has a Space Command and Reconnaissance Satellites Command, Air and Space Force Development Center. The UK has number 23 Squadron, R.A.F, and 1001 Signal Unit, R.A.F. Army and Space and Missile Defense Command, Army Space and Strategic Defense Command. They have Army Space Command, Space Agency, Space Planning Group, and Army Staff Program Element at Air Force Space Command, as well as Army Strategic Defense Command, Ballistic Missile Defense Organization, Safeguard Program, Sentinel Program, Nike X Project Office, Nike Zeus Project Office, Army Missile Command, Ballistic Missile Agency, Army Ordnance Missile Command, Army Ordnance Corps, and Ordnance Departments. The U.S. has Army Information Systems Command, Army Communications Command, Army Strategic Communications Command, and the Signal Corps. Marine Corps Forces Space Command, Marine Corps Forces Strategic Command. So the Marines have also opted into operations going into space. Navy Space Command, 10th Fleet, Fleet Cyber Command, 10th Fleet, Naval Network Warfare Command, Naval Space Command, Naval Astronautics Group, Naval Space Surveillance Center. The U.S. Marine Corps Forces Space Command, MAR-4 Space, is the service component of the U.S. Space Command, tasked with providing support to Fleet Marine forces using space assets and communications, targeting, and navigation to increase warfighter lethality. Then we have the Navy Space Command 10th Fleet, the Fleet Cyber Command 10th Fleet, Naval Network Warfare Command, Naval Space Command, Naval Astronautics Group, Naval Space Surveillance Center, Naval Information Warfare Systems Command, Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command, Naval Electronic Systems Command, Air Systems Command, Material Command, Bureau of Naval Weapons, Bureau of Ships, Project Vanguard, in a research laboratory, and other naval research laboratories. We also have 1st Air Force, Air Combat Command, and the U.S. Coast Guard Research and Development Center. Last country is Vietnam, the Vietnam People's Air Force. So the United States Space Force USSF is a space service and one of the 8 uniformed services of the U.S. Its responsibilities are outlined in 10 U.S.C. code that outlines the roles. 9081, introduced in the U.S. Space Force Act. And the chain of command is a very large organization. We've got the Chief of Space Operations, the CSO, the Vice Chief of Space Operations, the VCSO, Chief Master Sergeant of the Space Force, CMSSF, Director of Staff, SFDS, Deputy Chief of Space Operations for Human Capital, SFS1, Deputy Chief of Space Operations for Intelligence, SFS2, Deputy Chief of Space Operations for Operations Cyber and Nuclear, SFS3 610, Deputy Chief of Space Operations for Strategy, Plans, Programs, Requirements, and Analysis, SFS5 8, Deputy Chief of Space Operations for Technology and Innovation, SFS9. Assistant Chief of Space Operations for future concepts and partnerships as well is currently Paul Godfrey. There are 3 field commands, FLDCOM, purpose-built for certain activities aligning to institutional responsibilities, organizing, training, and equipping guardians. Component field commands, CFLDCOM, coordinate, integrate space forces into planning and current operations within unified combatant commands. Direct reporting units, DRUs, are hubs of innovation and intelligence expertise, providing new ideas and knowledge about specialized issues. So field commands are Space Operations Command, SPOC, SPOC, Space Systems Command, SSC, Space Training and Readiness Command, STARCOM. Component field commands are U.S. Space Forces Space, Space for Space, U.S. Space Forces Central, Space for CENT, CENT, U.S. Space Forces Europe and Africa, Space for R.A.F, U.S. Space Forces Indo-Pacific, Space SPA for Indo-Pac, Space Force Element National Reconnaissance Unit, SF-ELM. Direct reporting units are Space Development Agency, SDA, Space Rapid Capabilities Office, SPRCO, and Field Operating Agency, National Space Intelligence Center, NSIC, in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. So the names of some are Buckley Space Force Base, Garrison Space Base Delta 2, Peterson Space Force Base, Colorado Springs, Space Base Delta 1, Shriver Space Force Base, also Colorado Springs, Delta 1, Los Angeles, El Segundo, California, Space Base Delta 3, Patrick Space Force Base, Satellite Beach, Florida, Space Launch Delta 45, Vandenberg Space Force Base, Lompoc, California, Space Launch Delta 30, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, Cape Canaveral, Florida, Space Launch Delta 45, Cheyenne Mountain Space Force Station, Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado, Space Base Delta 1, Cape Cod Space Force Station, Sagamore, Massachusetts, 6th Space Warning Squadron, Cavalier Space Force Station, Cavalier, North Dakota, 10th Space Warning Squadron, Clear Space Force Station, Clear, Alaska, Clear Eyes, 13th Space Warning Squadron, Kana Point Space Force Station, Kana Point, Hawaii, 21st Space Operations Squadron, New Boston Space Force Station, Hillsborough County, New Hampshire, 23rd Space Operations Squadron, Maui Space Force Station, Maui, Hawaii, 15th Space Surveillance Squadron, Pituffik Space Base, Quanok, Greenland, 821st Space Base Group. Consolidating Army and space activities also includes brigades and developments with NASA, the NRO, other wings, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which operates the military's weather satellites. The NRO component builds, launches, and maintains intelligence satellites. Then the Space Force executes the NRO space launches and consists of 40% of the agency's personnel. The USSF's Space Systems Command, in partnership with the NRO, manages the National Security Space Launch (NSSL) program and uses government and contract spacecraft to launch sensitive government payloads. NSSL supports both the USSF and NRO. SEMPRA Supra, always above, mirrors mottos of Marine Corps, Semper Fidelis, always faithful, and Coast Guard, Semper Paratus, always ready. Sempra Supra is the official march song from 2022. Space operations lists are 13A, astronaut, 13S, space operations officer, 5S, space systems operator. Intelligence, 14N, intelligence officer, 510, all source intelligence analyst, 511, geospatial intelligence analyst, 512, signals intelligence analyst, 513, fusion analyst, 518, targeting analyst. Cyberspace operations officers, 17S, cyberspace effects operations officer, 5C, cyberspace operations. Acquisitions and engineering, 62 EXA, aeronautical engineers, 62 EXB, astronautical engineers, 62 EXC, computer systems engineers, 62 EXC, electrical electronic engineers, 62 EXH, mechanical engineers, 62 EXI, human factors engineers, human systems integrations, 63A, acquisitions manager. Space operators are the largest career field. Space operators and responsibilities include leading the Space Force's space operations, planning, leading space combat operations across orbital warfare, space electromagnetic warfare, space battle management, and space access, and sustainment space power disciplines. They formulate space operations policy, coordinate space operations, plan, organize, and direct space operations programs. Enlisted space systems operators, 5S, conduct orbital warfare, space EM warfare, battle management, and space access and sustainment operations. The officers and enlisted space system operators are awarded a Space Operations Badge after completing the 533rd Training Squadrons program, which is provided by the 319th Combat Training Squadron and the National Security Space Institute. Intelligence officers, 14N, lead intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance enterprises, performing intelligence activities and analysis. All source intelligence analyst, 510. Geospatial intelligence analyst, 511. Signals intelligence analyst, 512. Fusion analyst, 514. And targeting analyst, 518. All work in this sector. Intelligence officers are awarded their badge after the 533rd Training Squadron Detachment 1 at Goodfellow Air Force Base. Cyberspace Effects Operations Officers, 17S, are responsible for operating cyberspace weapon systems, satellite communication systems, and commanding cyber crews. They lead enlisted operations guardians. They received their badge after completing training with the 81st Training Wing at Keesler Air Force Base. Acquisition and engineering officers are career fields. Specific developmental engineers, 62E, include aeronautical engineers, 62 EXA, astronautical engineers, 62 EXB, computer systems engineers, 62 EXC, electrical electronic engineers, 62 EXE, mechanical engineers, 62 EXH, and human factors engineer, human systems integration, 62 EXI. They graduate from the Defense Acquisition University and the U.S. Air Force Flight Test Engineer course. Acquisition managers, 63A, are responsible for the Space Force's acquisition process. Disciplines include orbital warfare, space electromagnetic warfare, offensive and defensive fires, to preserve freedom of access to domains, provide capability to the joint force while denying that same advantage to the adversary. Space electromagnetic warfare has knowledge of spectrum awareness, maneuvering within the spectrum and non-kinetic fires within the spectrum to deny adversary use of vital links. Skills manipulate physical access to communication pathways and awareness of how those pathways contribute to enemy advantage. Number 3, space battle management is knowledge of how to orient to the space domain and skill in making decisions to preserve missions, deny adversary access, and ultimately ensure mission accomplishments. Identify hostile actions and entities, conduct combat identification, target and direct action in response to an evolving threat environment. Number 4, space access and sustainment. This is knowledge of processing, supporting, and logistics to maintain and prolong operations in the space domain. Resource, apply, and leverage space power in, from, and to the space domain. Number 5, military intelligence. Having the knowledge to conduct intelligence-led, threat-focused operations based on the insights. Leverage the broader intelligence community to ensure military space power has the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities needed to defend the space domain. Number 6, engineering and acquisition. Knowledge that ensures military space power has best capabilities in the world. Form science, technology, and acquisition partnerships with other national security space organizations, commercial entities, allies, and academia to ensure the warfighters are properly equipped. Cyber operations. Number 7, knowledge to defend the global networks on which military space power is dependent. Employ cybersecurity and defenses of critical space networks and systems, and employ future offensive capabilities.